All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and tonight's show is going to be packed. It is a live call-in show tonight, so you can call in at, again, 224-400-MARF. We're going to be covering pretty much everything that you can think of that has just transpired over the last 24 hours. So stick around. Be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If you've never been here before, we have a great show for you planned today. Of course, this is a live show, so anything can happen. Remember, if you're new, you can go over to marfooglenews.com and sign up for our notifications. The platform is not always good at doing that, or, again, multiple platforms. And you can also follow along today. We're going to be covering a lot of stories, and again, you can go and get the source of these stories right over there at marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go over there, you'll see that everything is very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. You'll look for what's next, Russia's versus Ukraine, conflicting reports. Once you click on that, it will actually bring you straight to all of our sources. So that way you know exactly where we are getting the information from. And then, of course, if we do share our opinion, I make sure to clarify so, or at least I try to almost every time. And then once you hit a yellow bar, we are also covering additional subjects. Again, there is also web-only content. We are covering a lot of the stuff that is going on in Canada with the truckers. There is a lot of really sensitive pieces that just came out. Make sure to go check it out. There's a whole nother show down there. Now, again, over on the right, if you do want to support, we're independent. We don't have a multi-channel network. We work for ourselves here. So, again, you can go over to the right side of the screen, and there is, of course, affiliates. You can end up purchasing any of our affiliates through there to help us out, or you can make a PayPal donation. Again, that helps pay Dex's wage, and it also helps support both of our families. So, everybody, thanks. The affiliates we do pick, we make sure to pick, thinking that it will either save a life or make a life better or protect you in some way. So that's how we really choose our affiliates. So again, make sure to go over there. You'll most likely get a discount, and you'll be helping the channel. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother / will be on the phones at 224-400-MARF. What is going on, Dex James? How are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So let me fix this. A lot to go over. If you watched the video earlier that we did on this, there is even more conflicting reports since that broadcast. Now, most people are very torn on this subject. A lot of people think that Russia is trolling the U.S. or the U.S. is putting on a big show because they're secretly doing something. I believe it might be both. Again, there are a ton of actual confirmations that obviously there's over 150,000 troops on Ukraine's border. They are doing a massive naval drill. They call all of these things drills until they're not drills. And, of course, there is now planes that have been loading stuff into Ukraine for now weeks. Who knows? Maybe those were planes full of other things. We don't know. And then, of course, there are all of these weird events that have happened. There are cyber attacks that have happened to different countries. And now people are very torn, especially what I have noticed, and it's kind of funny. Once someone like Tucker Carlson or something, we'll have people that, yell at us and say that we're talking about mainstream points, but then they're talking and you can tell they just watched a Tucker Carlson video and he is basically like he's some sort of alternative newscaster on there. I like Tucker Carlson personally. I know that some people do not like him as much, but again, I watch Tucker, but I wouldn't call him alternative. I wouldn't call any of Fox News alternative. And also, it's like there's a reason why they are covering subjects that are over here, is because, again, all of these news agencies were losing viewers to just regular people like myself and others. And, of course, we're small compared to most. So, again, you see these kind of now the term elites is being used in mainstream. I mean, think about that. They're talking about elites like regular people are. That doesn't seem weird to anybody. So most of that, though, Tucker does have a good point as far as he was talking about Russia possibly not being the aggressor here, possibly that they are on the defensive, that, of course, they don't want the U.S. in Ukraine with NATO and NATO's missiles on their doorstep, just as we wouldn't want, of course, Russia in Mexico or in Canada with their missiles. That's pretty obvious, as much so. I mean, pretty much anybody can get that reasoning. But, of course, now they're making it look like they're pulling some of their troops back. At the same time, they just potentially pulled off a massive cyber attack, or some, skeety third-party major state power did this, and it possibly could have even been CIA, NSA, whatever agency, or KGB. Who knows who just did this? So we'll talk about all of that now. Remember, if you do want to call in on these subjects, 224-400-MARF. Again, lots to go over. We'll get right into it. It is Astra fails to deliver satellites to orbit in first launch from lower 48. Now, oddly enough, this is after, of course, 40 out of 49 Starlink satellites did not go up. Very odd things happening in space. They said it was because of a solar storm for the Starlink satellites. It says that Astra failed to deliver 4 satellites to orbit as planned today in the company's first ever orbital launch from the contiguous United States. It says that the California startup's 43-foot tall, or 13 meters, launch vehicle 0008 launched from Elana Morty 1 mission from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Station today, rising off the pad at 3 p.m. Eastern. It says the two-stage LV 0008 performed well initially, soaring high into the Florida skies, but something appeared to go wrong about 3 minutes into the flight. Just after the rocket's first and second stages separated, footage from a camera on board the second stage showed the rocket body spinning rather than cruising smoothly towards its intended destination, an orbit with an altitude of 310 miles. Unfortunately, we heard that an issue has been experienced during the flight that prevented the delivery of our customer payloads to orbit today, Carolina Grossman, Astra's Director of Product Management, said. It says Astra, which was founded in 2016, aims to snag a large portion of the small satellite launch market with its line of mass-produced, cost-efficient, and ever-evolving rockets. The company had conducted 4 orbital launches before today, all of them test missions that lifted off from the Pacific Spaceport complex in Alaska. Astra reached space on 2 of those 4 missions, and on the most recent trial, a mission for the U.S. military that blasted off this past November. It says the company's LV0007 made it to orbit, a huge achievement for the Bay Area company. So this is a small company now making rockets. I assume we're going to see more of these. One thing that is kind of strange is on one of their 4 trial missions, they did something for the U.S. military. I didn't get that. Didn't get that part. So one of their first 4 missions, before they're even a kind of official, they're doing stuff for the military. What do you think? Let me know on Let me know on the comments and in the chat. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Again, weird. All of these different satellite missions have been failing lately. A lot of weird instances here. And an American Airlines flight was diverted to Kansas City due to an unruly passenger. But you would never believe how they took this unruly passenger out. Apparently, one of the employees ended up using a coffee pot and smashing the dude in the head to stop him from opening an escape hatch. It says an American Airlines flight was diverted to Kansas City International Airport in Missouri Sunday afternoon because of an unruly passenger, the airline said in a statement. It said American Airlines Flight 1775 with service from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., diverted to Kansas City due to an unruly passenger. The flight landed safely at MCI at 2:28. And it says local law enforcement was requested to meet the flight on arrival, it added. It says, we're grateful to our crew members who are consistently dedicated to the safety and the care of our customers and who handled the circumstances with the utmost skill and professionalism. It says, it says the flight was diverted due to an unruly passenger interfering with the flight crew. The individual has been taken into custody. No further information is available. Oh, okay. So I was going to say, this one is the one that talks about it. It says, Muaz Mustafa, a resident of Washington, D.C., was aboard the flight and told CNN that he saw a flight attendant yelling to another flight attendant to turn the lights on. The plane began rapidly descending, Mustafa said. More people went up to the front of the plane to help hold the passenger down, which is kind of freaky. I wonder what really happened there. I hope that a video comes out. And it says Mustafa told CNN that the passenger was trying to get into the cockpit and open the plane door, and a flight attendant used a coffee pot to hit the man over the head. So I'm imagining, one of either a metal coffee pot or one of these, glass hardcore Pyrex coffee pots took him down. One thing I thought of, though, what if, and I always try to look at it from both sides if I can, what if this was a rare instance where the airline was actually being, totally wrong or something. There was an instance just recently where the airline kind of screwed somebody over and the person was very polite and the airline kind of overdid it. They overreacted to everything the customer was doing, almost like out of the movie Anger Management. But what if, and then all of a sudden everybody, you got the you're labeled the unruly passenger, and then all of a sudden everybody else is jumping in to hold you down and to back them up. I think of it, until you actually see what happened, I wouldn't judge this story. So maybe, and I'm assuming somebody's got video of it out there. And this is pretty big. The 3G network shutdown will impact more than just phones. So almost everyone here that had a phone back in the day had 3G. When 4G came out, it was like new. It was like, oh, you could actually watch a show of Netflix if you had the $200 package that gave you a megabyte of internet, right? But 3G was what was used. But not only that, many devices were actually used. In fact, security systems, all sorts of wireless systems are still on 3G or were still on 3G up until just a few years ago. And a lot of them are just going to just perish. Basically, they're gone. It says the looming shutdown of 3G networks won't just impact older phones, with AT&T's 3G network shutting down next week and other carriers following suit later this year. A range of products require updates to continue working, including some home alarm systems, medical devices such as fall detectors, and in-car crash notification and roadside assistance systems such as General Motors' OnStar. Just as many mobile carriers have urged customers to swap their older 3G iPhones, Android phones, e-readers, and other handheld devices for newer models ahead of the shutdown, other businesses are urging customers to upgrade or replace some of their everyday products and services in their home and cars before they drop connectivity. One thing I thought of too is there are some remote places where they didn't have they couldn't even get 4G or they couldn't get 5G, and that was the only wireless they could get in remote areas, was this just really crappy, beginning line 3G. What happens there? Do they get some sort of satellite? Does that city set up something? Again, it's kind of crazy to think about. All of our, our original Motorola flip phones and, the Razors and all of those, none of those will work anymore. And what trips me out is that, they didn't somehow make the newer systems so the old ones could use them at all, because now all of those are just relics. I mean, they're garbage. And I believe many homeless have been given cell phones, older, retired cell phones. In fact, a lot of people, there was programs all over the country that were giving out older phones just for emergencies. So if you wanted to call 911, you could. I don't know if those same phones will work again. Obviously, they could just give them a new phone with 4G or 5G or whatever. But again, a lot of those people will not be able to use those anymore. What do you think about this? This makes sense, right? But that even means that we will only have 4G and the 5th generation. Jerry Panetta says, "Hey, Marf, I've been watching you guys for a while now. First time supporting, won't be my last. God bless." Hey, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. And God bless. Thank you, guys. What a crazy year it's been. Seth Covington, let Europe deal with their own. Let us deal with our own. I'm in for tens of thousands on my trip. Yeah, a lot of people are saying just stay out of it, right? Well, and that's what was clarified with Biden today. He said a lot of things as far as he just kept kind of repeating that, we are part of NATO. NATO will back up NATO. You attack one, you attack all. But he made sure to clarify that if anyone cyber attacks us, that is an act of war, and we will come back after you, and we will. That is the reason why we would get into a full-scale event. And I thought it was really weird. If just say they're not high-fiving behind closed doors and they're not all planning this thing, that's kind of freaky, because it has been said so many times, this over and over warning to Russia not to hack us. And as many people don't know, if they do take down our cyber infrastructure, we would be in hell. There are so many things that are now part of the internet and the Internet of Things. It's incredible how dependent we are on the internet now. Almost everything runs with the internet. So it's not great. And then, of course, if they knock out GPS, they knock out satellites, they knock out all these things at the same time, we would really be screwed. And we couldn't respond. If somebody knocks down our power grid, the only thing we can do is try to knock down their power grid, or under the kind of the laws of engagement. It's not like if we had our power grid taken out, we wouldn't just nuke all of Russia or all of China or all of NK. That did, which some say, we should. Lonnie Grimm, thank you for your support. I appreciate that. And then it says, U.S. detects highly lethal bird flu in Tyson Foods chicken. And then again, this is actually now spread, apparently. It says a flock of about 240,000 chickens owned by Tyson Foods in Kentucky tested positive for a highly lethal form of the bird flu, government officials and the company said on Monday, widening an outbreak that threatens the U.S. poultry industry. Infections in the chickens being raised for meat triggered more restrictions on U.S. exports, and it says with China blocking poultry products from Kentucky. Last week, buyers like China and Korea limited poultry purchases from Indiana due to an outbreak at a commercial turkey farm there. Remember, at first it was turkeys, and I actually accidentally said chickens last week, and now it is true. Now it is spread to these other farms and these chickens. It says the broiler chickens in Fulton County, Kentucky, located near the border of Tennessee, were infected with the same H5N1 strain of highly pathogenic avian flu as the turkeys in Indiana, Kentucky, officials said. They said that it is Kentucky's first outbreak of the highly lethal bird flu, which killed more than 50 million U.S. chickens and turkeys in 2015. Birds from the affected flock will be cold and will not enter the food system, state officials said. So one thing that people already noticed, it was really hard to get frozen chicken, frozen meats right now, and especially there's several things that are just really random that are just super hard to get. We were trying to get goldfish crackers, and we couldn't for the longest time. We couldn't get Lunchables for our kids. My 6-year-old likes to eat the Lunchables every once in a while. We could not find those for weeks. And what I heard is it was because a lot of the packaging was coming from China, and they didn't have a replacement factory to make it. I don't know if that's true, but again, I see a lot of weird things. This is most definitely going to affect the frozen chicken aisle, as far as a lot of people, those are a main staple, especially any family with kids. They'll throw chicken strips in the oven and cook that on a regular basis. Frozen chicken is a big thing, especially with people like bodybuilders, everything else. Chicken and, of course, turkey being now even harder to get is only going to drive prices up for the ones that are around. So on top of the $20, $30, $40 steaks we've been seeing, now we're going to see, my guess is more expensive chickens as well. Now, remember, you can call in at 224-400-MARF. Again, that's 224-400-6273. That number is now just starting right here if you need to reference that. I do want to say thank you to everybody over on D-Live. Thank you for everybody that popped in. T-Man Red Pill, Zippy Moons, we've got Suni Lapoo, and, of course, Bear Lover 92,000, Moxie 71, Mary XX, Chewy Weather, thank you for the lemon, Spoonie 09, and really that Chowky Gal. Appreciate you. And then new people, we've got Mark Swan, Jeff, thank you for joining, Edavidi, My Cousins, and Boombay TV, Cherical, and Segway to the Picture. Thank you guys for following over on D-Live. Lots of new people over there. Thank you. And, of course, we have Live Life 153 just subscribed a few minutes ago. Melva L, Jill L, Christina DePrimo, Luz Belito, Corn Pop 2.0, Gashu Boy, and Slider 43 and Miss Nikki in the last 10 minutes. Thank you. Welcome, you guys. Miss Nikki, appreciate that. Gashu Boy, Corn Pop 2.0. Those are, I'll remember those ones. All right, and then Dex is over on the phone. Remember, when you call 224-400-MARF, you'll just want to press option 4. Thank you, Bayberry's Antique Dolls, for going over to PayPal, looks like during the show. And then Lori S., you are a beacon of light in a storm. Hey, Lori, I appreciate that, and thank you for supporting. Again, appreciate everybody that goes over there. Peter S., thank you as well, right before the show. And then Julia Z. last night. Appreciate you and your channel. Thank you for the PayPal support. Again, that goes almost that goes directly to us. So thank you. And then looks like we have a couple people lined up. It looks like we do have Wages World. So Wages World is now becoming a larger YouTuber, and he covers solar activity. Now, he is going to give his opinion on a couple things, I believe. Dex, do we have Wages World? And then I mentioned him because we had the satellites come down because of solar activity. I wanted to see if he actually believes that or if he has any other theories on that.
Yes, Adam, we do have Wages World, and I'm getting him on the line right now.
All right, perfect. Again, thank you, everybody that popped in.
And Wages is live, Adam.
All right, Wages, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam, how you doing? Hi, Foogle fam. Hope everybody's doing good tonight.
So I don't know if
you there?
You probably didn't watch the show the last couple nights, but we talked about the satellites and the solar storm and everything that's been going on. Do you believe that those 40 satellites were knocked down by solar activity, or do you think it might have been something else?
Well, again, I think there's a lot of questions to be asked on the whole rocket situation. What I do know is that, having two of those events, so close together, it takes really a perfect storm of events for a very, very low level geomagnetic storm to affect a rocket like that. not to mention that they've launched in these conditions multiple times. And I mean multiple times, and never had no issue.
In worse conditions than that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure if you actually talked about the technical part of all that around it, but it's essentially drag, and they couldn't get the satellites up there. And it's because of the increased plasma that's hanging around in the ionosphere. And I do think that if you were, the other company other than SpaceX, right, and that just happened to SpaceX, would you launch your rocket during those same sort of conditions like a week later? Would you actually do that? I don't. That's where my question starts coming in on what's going on with this. But what I can say is we did have those conditions. We had, I sent some pics over to Dex there. If you want to bring up the one, if you can find it, it's the bar graph. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. You might bring up that bar graph, and it might help people understand what I'm talking about here. Or you can leave it right there for a second if you want.
Okay, I'll just go. I'll go through and let you get a chance to tell us what each one is.
Okay. So you're there with the double map there. Is that what you're on right now?
Yes, the regional and geoelectric, Fernberg, EMTF, and empirical. Yeah, right. I really want people to understand this particular graph because this model it's new. It's newer. And this is not geomagnetic activity. We have to understand that this is geoelectric. This is space weather's the induction from space weather directly to our artificial electrical components. This is what this is showing. We so focused on like geomagnetic storms. Well, we get geomagnetic storms, and this model never moves. And then then it'll start going crazy, and we won't have nothing going on. So it's all about that, that kind of condition. But what's weird about this, and I mentioned it to Dex, the cell outages that was down in Georgia. If you look at that map right there, and this just started about 3 weeks ago. In that section where you can clearly see it's an uptick, it shouldn't look like that. The rest of the country really should be seeing some of that stuff too. And it's not. It's been concentrated right there. So that could mean that our magnetic field's got some cracks or holes. Things are getting in a little easier there. And if you look at the three-dimensional one, if you look where the red colors are and the oranges and stuff like that, that model's not complete because they're still working on it. But if you see where those are, the reason why those are red in those areas is because they're higher populated areas. And there's more artificial electrical components. So my point is that the geoelectric really, if we're talking about grid stuff, yes, geomagnetic storms are going to cause it, but this induction is what's going to actually take it down. This is really what happens, and it's almost instantaneous. But if you look at that, what you're showing there, the X-ray flux, that is flares. Now, something interesting I've been noticing here too is that we've been getting flares roughly about the same time each day. It's kind of crazy. And I'm not saying that it's whatever. There might be some science behind that. I haven't researched that out, so I really don't want to speak on that. But those are 2 M-class flares. And they're actually saying, I just looked all this up before I got on the phone with you, there's actually a decent chance that it could fire an X-class flare before it rotates off. It has all the characteristics, and there is a possibility of that. But it's important to understand the difference between a flare and a CME. When we're looking at CMEs, you're looking at the geomagnetic activity. When you're looking for flares, it's at the top with the X-rays. X-rays are here in 8 minutes. We couldn't even get warning for that kind of thing. So then you get radio blackouts and stuff like that caused from that part of the storm. But most of the time with the bigger flares, obviously you get the eruptions also, which would be the CME, which gets here days later. But to the rocket thing, it boggles my mind that a very, very low level, and we're talking really minute time frames here too.
Just because that bar shows it for a 3-hour increment doesn't mean that we actually were experiencing those conditions for that time frame. It could be like 60 minutes, and it could be gone and over. So these things are like, it's one time I could probably chalk it up and say, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Twice, there's questions.
Now,
Storm twice? Really?
Can I ask you, so are you, and I haven't talked to you prior to the show, were you aware about China and Russia testing different things to take satellites down? Did you ever add that into your equation? I know that this isn't your kind of area of things, but they tested a missile that would take satellites down. They also tested these claw devices, a satellite with a claw to go up and crush satellites. Do you think somebody else could have had a hand in taking those 40 satellites down? Or do you think that they possibly may have a weapon that has some sort of directed energy that hit them as they were going out? Or do you again think there's another solution?
Well, I really think that, you're onto something there. Again, I would say, my views are very close to what you view when we're talking geopolitically, right? And I do think that there's stuff that they have, and, we talk about what we think they have, but we don't know exactly what they do have. And it's definitely a possibility. You start throwing in the hypersonic stuff. I mean, that's some stuff. And you got that one bar graph up. You can see where it launched. It launched, and what happened there is you see the KP-5s there, the first two red lines. That was the initial hit from the CME. And then what you seen the second time was the wake of that CME almost 24 hours later. So it was like a reverberation from that storm. And they fired that rocket up in between it. So, there was already enough stuff hanging around. But the thing, here's my question, is that, we fired off so many times in these conditions that, obviously this is expensive stuff. So you would think they would lean towards caution if they really thought something was possible. They know that geomagnetic storm hit before they even launched. So my question is, what the heck? And that right there, that's actually that second M-class flare that you just showed there on the right. It fired the M-class flare earlier, about 24 hours ago. We did get some radio blackouts. And I did send a link to, and I'm not sure if you want to click on it or not, but it's that same geoelectric map, and it's the current real time of the geoelectric field. And right now we're actually taking some geoelectric hits, and I really can't tell you where it's from. And, our magnetic field isn't a blanket. It's more like an Afghan from like your grandma made crocheted. It's got holes and cracks. It's thinner. So if you push play on the movie tool there, it'll show you. And again, what I'm saying here is that where it's showing the uptick, if it had anything to do with population, well, we would be seeing it up in New York, Los Angeles, all these bigger cities on the West Coast, Seattle, all that stuff over there, but we're not seeing it over there. Why is it always right there? And I don't have an answer for that.
Another question.
It's something I've been trying.
Another question is, there's like this little cutoff part in the lower right, kind of down. There's a line, like a really straight line right here. If you can see my mouse, it's I guess what states would that? Look at this. It looks. Why is that a gap in the sensing?
That's the Appalachian Mountains causing that.
Yeah, but why is it such a square?
That's the mount. Well, I don't know as far as that goes, but that is the location, and you'll see it over on the Rocky Mountains too. It almost looks like an upside down arrow on the West Coast. If you let that movie tool play a little bit, you'll see it kind of flash there.
It looks like a hand, one of those giant hands, the foam hands that points,
Right. Yeah. And our solar activity, Adam, is just we're so far ahead. We have not come below their forecasted numbers of amount of sunspots we should have been experiencing thus far in this sun cycle. It's not even hit the line. We've been above average every month. And we're multiple months into the new sun cycle. So, that doesn't necessarily mean that things are powerful or whatever. It just means that the chances are way higher when you have a sunspot facing you. And if we have more of those, obviously that chance goes up. And the oranges and the greens and stuff you're seeing on that map, it's not usually there like that. And that's my point. A lot of people don't even know about this model, but that is, what it is it's geoelectric field, right? And it's just induction into our power lines or any artificial, electrical component that's not from nature. And that's why you do see a little bit more around the higher populated areas, because there's more electrical components there. And, but my puzzling part here is, like I said, right there on that part of the country, well, why aren't we seeing it out in Los Angeles? That it's very seldom we'll even flash over there. So I don't really have a good answer for that. But I do think with the power outages and stuff, and with like cell outages and stuff like that, this definitely is something people should be looking at. But as far as, with the rockets, I most certainly could jump right on board with that. Was, two of them back to back is just too crazy for me. And you're blaming it on low level space weather event. That shouldn't be causing any issue at all.
In the same month as they're talking about anti-satellite weaponry.
Yeah. And, we were talking about of course, we got the space, I guess, force. I don't know if that's a word you don't want people to say.
No, that's fine.
But, a lot of that stuff is down in that part of the country, too. And they were there's new technology. They call them packets. And these lasers are actually cloaking vehicles, like airplanes. And it's essentially, you're almost jumping time. And that is a technology that they have, and how far along they are with that, who knows? But if they can do that, surely the heck they could, mess up some satellites. I don't know. The world today is just so, there's so many things, Adam, and I know you've talked about it. Everything is changing. We're really seeing everything move right now. And the only thing I would say to, as far as it goes with space weather is, this is a natural cycle. We're supposed to be upticking, but the question is how much and when is it out of the ordinary? It wasn't too long ago we were talking about grand solar minimum. And now we've got this accelerated number of sunspots, and, this sun cycle is off to a banger, But, we've actually gotten pretty lucky. A few of those M flares fired off to the side. They were most likely X flares if they had been facing us. And,
can you tell people
the actual X-ray doesn't really.
Can you tell people what would worst case scenario be if the worst kind of flare hit us, if the worst CME hit us?
Are you talking like an X20, like a Carrington event type of thing?
Yeah, anything in that. Well, yeah. Give a range, I guess, from an X1 to an X20.
Yeah, X1, we believe it or not, we expect like 2 of those every sun cycle. We expect 2 X-class flares to fire at us, every 11 years. And I know that there's a 22-year sun cycle there too, but most people use the 11-year thing for what we're talking about. But yeah, I would say that, you would have to have, again, it's like perfect storm stuff we're talking about, but it would be like a flare facing us, a sunspot that's facing us that decided to erupt with some big gigantic flare. But what has to happen with that, you have to have the CME with it, which most likely would come. And what you would see is you wouldn't get the typical 3-day wait time on a CME. That thing would probably be here in less than 24 hours. And, I know that's hard for people to understand drag, like in space, because, we're all sitting around breathing air, right? Well, there's drag in the air. We just don't notice it. And that's what the plasma is. That's space weather. That's solar wind. It's charged gas. And it gets here from our connection to the sun. And when that stuff was going on, I actually seen an instantaneous jerk on one of the satellites. And it just jerked it for just a second. It wasn't massive, but it happened. And it was like almost instantaneous. So the flare part, we're not getting a warning. CME, yeah. Again, what can you do? You do what you talk about with the protection and stuff that we buy, and we try to protect everything we can, but that's all you can do, and the perfect storm situation would be a big flare. And with CME with it, and, there's actually some talk about maybe like an M-class flare with the CME hits and then an X-class right behind it. That would probably do some really bad damage. We are talking grid down stuff if that happens. But that would, and there's some science out there talking about micronovas. People, we got to understand our sun can go nova. There's something called the current sheet, the galactic current sheet. When it hits our sun, it is an interplanetary magnetic field line for our galaxy. And when that hits, it affects everything. It could excite the sun, and all of a sudden the sun's just like going off. And again, people that haven't seen this before would really be freaking out, thinking, hey, we're having so much activity. Well, some of this is a natural step up, especially if you really got into this during like a solar minimum time. This is actually kind of it's some of the stuff I see is kind of shocking to me because I haven't seen it before. But again, this is I really do, Adam. I think that this is something that's we all have to pay attention to, because it all points to everything going on geopolitically and our magnetic field weakening at the same time. I've given thought to that geoelectric field model, and it makes me wonder if our poles aren't moving faster again, and our magnetic field, the tilt of it might be at an angle that is allowing that stuff to come in right there. If you look at a map, if you follow that up longitudinally on the Earth or go down south, you'll run into the South Atlantic anomaly. That little swath there on our country on that one model is right above that. So it makes me wonder if our magnetic field might just be starting to open up. And that's not good. Then it starts taking off your ionosphere, ripping off your atmosphere, all this stuff. It's not a good situation. And, like I said, be aware, don't be scared. And I know you say that too. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
I have one more.
There's very few of this concept. But
well, I had one more question, which is, do you think, from what you see and what you study on this, do you think that they are taking any action or preparing whatsoever for this? Do you see anything that kind of is suspicious to you as far as what the government is doing, and do you think that they might be possibly preparing for this themselves, kind of leaving the rest of the people to kind of fend?
Yeah, I actually do believe that. I think that some of the stuff and the failures that we see are staged failures on purpose. It makes me think that, like with these 2 back-to-back rocket launches, that maybe one of them was a test to see if it was going to react the same way that the first one did to some solar weather or whatever else is going on. And I most certainly do think that, I think that we would all be kind of remiss if we didn't just accept the fact that they're never going to tell us everything. And it's hard for a lot of people to swallow, but that's the fact. And they're so far along technologically. And I do think that they test. I think that they, FF is kind of what I'm talking about, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And I don't want to, I really, and I appreciate you and everybody here too, because, you don't just show alternative stuff. You're showing mainstream stuff too. And I've been saying this on my channel for a long time. I don't care where the truth's coming from. If the truth is the truth, that's just what it is. And you are right, like what you were talking about yesterday. The mainstream is now they're forcing, you guys are forcing them to pivot. They have to start doing what you're doing, or they're just nothing. I mean, people just won't trust them at all. And it's refreshing to see sources and all these other things you guys do. And I do the same thing too, not to the level you guys do, because, you guys are reporting on so many different stories. Mine's more concentrated towards space weather, but yeah, man, I do think that we are in a time that we need to pay attention. And I do think that it's all playing together. I think it's all one big thing.
Why do people, and I apologize too, there's a little bit of a delay, so I try to get it early. Why do people talk about 2023 through 2025? Specifically, what I mean, because you most likely have looked into it. Can you tell just an average person that doesn't know anything about space weather why people have talked about 2023 through 2025?
Well, the biggest reason is the fact that we will be at a peak of solar activity. That's a big deal. Because if you look at what we're doing right now, if the average percentage that we're above average right now, if that was to hold true at solar maximum, that means that we're going to have lots of issues. And it's not mainstream will tell you too that our magnetic field's weakening. Nobody even, denies that. The argument comes in, what's it going to do? Right. And I tell people this too. At the end of the day, it is an educated guess from anybody talking about it, because nobody's been here when it happened. I do think that, some sort of a pole reversal would be just like, wow. And something else, I just, like I said, I watch your show every night, and I remember the story you were talking about with the submarines, and where they could potentially, go to specific spots in the ocean and, fire them things off, and you get a big tsunami. I still think with all the stuff going on, that kind of stuff could actually be part of a plan too. Get all these vehicles, military all over the place in specific positions. What's to say they're not going to try something like that? And chicken or the egg, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Is it, conflict, or is it space weather, or is it both? I'm kind of on the both thing. I really do. I really think that. And there is, again, I don't want to take up too much more time here, man. I know you're trying to get to other callers. I just want to, try to give a little insight. And I would encourage everybody to go over to NOAA and look at these tools. And something else, this really does affect people, and, all the stuff going on. I know you feel it. When you report on stuff like this, it really hits you, right? Because that's all you're looking at. It just, sometimes you got to step back and, yeah. And, I try to, you guys know Rip, obviously, Rip Curl. He came over to the lifeboat and did an interview. I'm not sure if you knew that or not. It's one of the higher viewed interviews we had. He did a great job sharing his story with that. And, me and him kind of got a connection with that because of the addiction issues we had. And, I think that in the eyes of that, everything going on is really, it's hard on everybody, but you throw in something like that, it even makes it harder. And we talk about the truck, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because you talk about like the truck issue.
Yeah.
What if
in Canada?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Yeah. What if that issue became a problem getting people that are in recovery their withdrawal medication, and that no longer was available? I don't think people understand what would happen.
Well, so wages.
This country.
Wages. There was another. I don't know if it was you or somebody else that said that there's so many hundreds of thousands of people that are on medications on. I'm trying to remember. There's Suboxone, but there's also another one that's like it's a liquid that methadone, and there is, I think it's mostly methadone and Suboxone that people go to clinics every single morning. I used to work a couple blocks away from one downtown, and they have to go there every single morning at like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something, and they have to get their medication for the day. They can get it 365, open Christmas every day. Like, I was like surprised that this place like never closed down. It was there every morning, get off the bus stop, and there would be all these people. And I'm like, what are they in line for? Like, is this a mission? And they're like, no, this is that place. If we stopped, having that service and everybody, I'm thinking about what is going on right now. And I can just judge off of just my neighborhood. It's not a bad neighborhood. It's, I've lived in the ghetto. In fact, I've lived in ghettos, in the real ghetto, shots fired. When my daughter, my 7-year-old was 2, she knew when the gunfire was there. Even when before she could talk, she knew to get down when there was gunfire. And now it is worse than it was when I was in the ghetto in the suburbs. And I know this because there's videos. All the neighbors are posting. There's 4 or 5 people, 6 or 7 houses down, just walking in a house with a full house of people and holding them up. People standing there with a huge 5-foot pipe wrench and just breaking windows while the people are inside. It's not just like stealing mail or taking packages anymore. It is home robberies in the mid-daylight. People are using tracking devices, the air tags, putting them in people's cars when they see somebody that looks, well off, and they're buying something at Best Buy. They will follow them out, put that device, the magnetic device, on their car, and then they will track that all the way to their house, then go rob them for all their stuff, including the electronics they just saw them buy. I thought that was like BS propaganda at first, but now I know at least one person that happened to just here in Washington. So it's like, I cannot believe the crime. I can't imagine if they all of a sudden ripped out, if they have a problem finding those.
If they weren't able to get the medication to the facilities and to even the pharmacies, because I get a prescription and it's got 4 refills on it per month. I'm on Suboxone is what I'm on. I've been on it for almost 10 years and I've never relapsed. So I'm not trying to like push that or anything, because everybody's situation is different. And I got a really strong support system here at home. So, that's big time too. But you're right. Okay. Because if you take that medication, I can tell you right now from experience, knowing what it feels like to be in withdrawal, that an addict is going to do whatever an addict has to do to not feel that way. And you take you're talking, I'm not even sure the numbers on it. It's in the hundreds of thousands. It might even be in the millions of people on this drug. Not just Suboxone, but methadone, any of that kind of stuff. And you can even stretch it out to even the pain clinics, because pain management, it would be a bad day for everybody when that happens. And the reason I say that is because my local CVSs were having a problem getting it they still do once in a while.
By the way, a lot of people.
So this is something.
A lot of people just said.
Go for it.
There were a lot of people that actually said they're in the same boat as you. So there, it's really. It doesn't surprise me that everyone has so many different things they're going through. This is why it's so important. If there's other people that are on, in the same boat, that's not good, because you're dependent on something. If you don't have that, you're going to be in really bad shape. And you're dependent on, of course, you're dependent on the pharmacy having that, or you're dependent on the government having that, or again, whatever it is. We are out of time though, but I wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure you could close up your statement.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would say this, man, that, with the space weather stuff, I think I've said what needed to be said on that end of it. I do think that there's possibility of stuff going on that's all circled in together. And then to the other conversation we just had, I'm passionate about it because I'm trying to help people. We had that lifeboat channel that I do. I stream every night over there with Tommy. He robbed banks. He was stealing meat out of the grocery at one point, just walking in with a cart, coming out with $3,000 worth of beef. So this is the kind of stuff that, if somebody wants to, if they're having issues, they can come over to the lifeboat and we can help them. We can help them get to places where they, because in today's world, we don't need to be feeling like that, feeling sick. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Wages World, it was a pleasure to have you today. We will make sure to link all appropriate channels so people can find you, find the lifeboat, and find, of course, the Blue Kool-Aid. Thank you so much, Wage. And again, if you guys haven't gone over and checked him out, he's almost to 50,000 subscribers. Congratulations.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you, Adam, because you're a big reason why, just so you know. And I like to give credit where credit's due. And let me tell you, I would say probably half my subs are from you.
Well, I've watched you grow.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So.
Well, I've watched you from. I can't remember, but you had. I think I've seen you when you were only at a couple hundred. Yeah. I was the same with you. I think we were watching. Of course, I started watching you because you started earlier. I always say to you, I remember when you had that fire down in the lobby of your apartment. I remember that. That's a long time ago. Yes, it was. That's right. Well, thank you, Wages. I appreciate you.
Well, we pray for you too, Adam, and because I know you have the health issues and stuff, and that really in Dex also, and it just really sucks. So we all got to be there for each other. And anybody out there has channels, quit the negativity, quit cutting on people, quit attacking, because it does no good. So
endless cycle.
Anyway, love you guys, love the Foogle fam.
All right, you have a good night. That was Wages World. That, again, if we can get him over to 50,000 subscribers tonight, that would be absolutely amazing. There's more than enough people here to do it right now. So, again, 5,400 people. A third of you went over. We could get him there today. Looks like he's already at 48.7, so it's gone up just a tad. 1,300 more, just pop, and he'll be over 50,000, which is a really big milestone. 10,000, 5,000. If you think about it in the terms of, how many people sit in a room, I did a speech in front of 300 and that felt just ginormous. I just could not believe how many people that was. And then 50,000 is an entire football stadium. So imagine Wages World, the man who is just talking, standing in the middle of one of the larger football stadiums to an entire crowd. That is how many people 50,000 is. Daily, we get that many viewers. So it's like, just imagine me sitting. That's what he said. Like, these mainstream channels, the reason why they're doing that is any of these multi-billion-dollar companies, they see what works. It's the reason why all of the commercials on YouTube are now fake videos trying to pretend like little kids playing with toys organically, because that's what was selling. That's what the kids were watching. They were watching. They could spend $5 million on effects and fake, animations and all this stuff, and it didn't work as well as a camera over a kid's shoulder going, "Hi, I'm Susie. Hi, I'm Billy. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha." And those kids wanted to buy from that, not from the multi-million-dollar, because adults don't know how to sell to kids. Kids know how to sell to kids, right? Same with adults. They know that adults are smart. We don't need all that flash. We don't need all of that. In fact, that's why, a lot of people liked my show. They liked it when it was worse. They liked it when it was. That's why people like finding these little shows like mine, with bad sound, bad video, bad whatever, and they like watching them, grow. Because it just feels better to know somebody and to feel like you're there from the beginning. It's just pretty amazing. Speaking of Speaking of being there since the beginning, I don't know how that transition would work with this, but man, settled. Prince Andrew reaches a settlement. So essentially, he's assuming guilt here. He gave the money to Virginia Giuseppe, $7.5 million. What do you think about that? Tell me in the comments down below. I think personally, this guy, I won't, because he's royal family. I'll just say this: if he ran full speed, 80 or 90 miles, like standing on top of a car into a fist that was made of iron, I wouldn't mind, but I'm being polite. And then, of course, Russia says some troops pulling back from Ukraine border. Now, I can't believe either side of these stories anymore, because we have people in Ukraine that are saying that they are now getting told that there are more troops just in the last 6 hours. This is what's so crazy. So 17 hours ago, they said one thing. 8 hours ago, they said another. I put this picture and I sent this to Dex to put on the website. So I want to show you this. Let's see if it's up here in the show. That's why we titled this Conflicting Reports. So there's a lot of things that just do not make sense here. Okay, so just this is an example. You look up Russian tanks, right? Russian tanks moving away from Ukraine border. And then the next one, The Hill, which is actually a better publication than that one, or at least more respected, right? Prepare for Russian tanks to crawl into Ukraine and cut Europe's energy. And then it says, watch Russian tanks get stuck in mud during training exercises near Ukraine border. Now, there's three different things there. One says, like, oh, they're moving away. First of all, who knows? Maybe they were going to do it, but they didn't have the element of surprise. Just assume. Play devil's advocate for those of you that believe it's all just a big show. Play devil's advocate for a second and say that this is 100% going down and it actually did leak, and just throw it to heaven that the U.S. is telling the truth, and the UK is actually who pulled this out first. They said that they got information that they were going to invade and that they were going to do this Fantastic Freddy. Well, then Russia's right there. Russia, they blow their cover. They tell the leaked information, and that's what they're saying. They told the public, UK told the public that they put this out there in hopes that now that it's out there publicly, they wouldn't do it. That was part of the reasoning that one of the ministers said, and they said, maybe this will work. Did it work? Or is this like a double back and forth, like game of rock, paper, scissors with the public to make us think that they think that they think? I don't know. But what I do know is they have now lost, if this is true, the element of surprise whatsoever. Oh, we're not just doing drills. Of course they knew that they were loading up, but the exact time. Did Vladimir Zelensky ironically say they're going to invade at Wednesday at 8 a.m. because that was being ironic, like, haha, yeah, like we know? Or did they actually know and they were saying that because they wanted to put it out there, blast it out there last minute? Because remember, Ukrainian government said, they're not going to do anything. Same old movie. They told everybody this is the same stuff. U.S. is being, they're raising alarms. UK is raising all these world countries are raising alarms for no reason. Then all of a sudden, the last 3 days, they actually start telling their own people, like, you got to get away from the border. These guys are coming. And then he said the same thing. He says, hey, they're coming at 8 a.m. Now, people are joking about it, like saying, yeah, sure, they made an appointment to do it. Well, on their end, if this wasn't public information, there would be an exact time. They would actually have an appointment. They would have a set time that they have to organize 300,000 people attacking something. There's going to be a time and a place. So what if Zelensky, they got word of it, maybe he wasn't supposed to say it aloud, or maybe that was the point. Maybe they said that out loud, so now Russia does not have the element of surprise, and maybe they're pulling back or saying they're pulling back. Meanwhile, the U.S. is saying, we don't believe it. We don't see the troop, show us proof that your troops are going back, whatever else. So you take things at face value, or you take half of the things at face value, you take nothing at face value, then what is really going on with this? If all of it is a show and it's all propaganda and it's all for, say, to prop up our president and give him some good ratings, so is Russia playing that? Is Russia trolling us? We don't know. There's so many conflicting reports, but I will say, just any devil's advocate that's on the other side of my coin here, even if it's a 5% chance, would you want to know that it's going to happen, or would you not want to know? Would you rather prepare for a possibility of it happening, or at least put a little time aside to actually prepare for a reality, or not? That's my point. A lot of people saying, fear-monger, fear-monger. And people go, don't care about them. I'm saying a lot of new people, and we're not talking about just a couple trolls. We're talking about non-trolls, regular people who are just saying, like, this is, they're getting mad because, one, they're new. Two, they don't have any context of my channel. So I do want to explain. I don't just believe everything that comes out of mainstream. We are looking at this from all around the world. We are talking to actual military. So yes, I am telling you what the military is being told as well. So it's not like I want to tell you, I never say, war's happening on Wednesday at 8 a.m. That's what mainstream is doing. That's insanity. I am never going to tell you a certain day or this is going to happen. I believe this will happen. It is an imminent thing, and I'm not saying this is in Russia, Ukraine. I'm saying WW3. It will happen, and like I've said, the boy can only cry wolf so many times before the actual wolf comes. So just remember, it's because of our culture and us being so far away from WW2, thinking that everybody's just going to get along and like we've evolved into a better people. Just saying, out of 276 years or whatever, we've only 8% of the U.S.'s entire time has been spent outside of war. 92%, over 200 years, we have been in war 92% of our history. So something is coming, and we're the big bad wolf. People talk about them being the bear. We're the big bad wolf. We're going to probably take land or replace somebody and take over them unless they're all working together, or China finally actually did take number one, paid people to get in there, has half of our government already under their power. We don't know. Tammy, Ariel the Wrestling Mermaid. I love you, Mike. Awesome. I hope you guys are working it out. Shout out to Dex, Marf, and the mods, Meatpuppet 007, K-Rec. Thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting us. Make sure to go check out the website as well for a lot of the links tonight. You guys got to get over there. All right, and then we're going to get these stories through here. It says Russia says some are pulling back, and again, just to cover that, it says Russian government has always maintained the buildup poses no threat to Ukraine and that its troops would return to their bases after carrying out what Moscow insists are just military exercises. Now remember, they did military exercises before. These ones, they actually transferred blood supplies. They actually transferred the weapons. They put permanent installations that would be needed for hospitals. They are now, right now as we speak, they are moving in. We have deployed all sorts of, virtually our entire Navy is deployed to either the South China Sea or to the Mediterranean. And they're going to tell you, it's just a drill. I still don't know about that. And if this is all just some show, amen. I will repeat that. People will go, oh yeah, what happened? You said there was going to be war. I never said there was war, and I hope that there is no war. And I am praying that I am wrong, and I am praying that this is all just a show. I'm not going to feel bad if there's none, because it still looks like the actions speak louder than words, and the actions show way, way more. If it's not going to be a conflict, we're going to have some huge random cyber attack on us that's going to knock out things. It says Ukraine, Putin plays peacemaker amid doubts over his theatrical withdrawal. So he's going over the top, saying, I'm pulling out. It says Now Putin plays the peacemaker amid doubts over his theatrical withdrawal. Russian strongman claims to be he, of course, does not want war and demands fresh negotiations with the West over separatist regions as West repeats invasion warnings. Russia is ready for talks with U.S. and NATO over European security, Vladimir Putin said today, insisting that he, of course, does not want war in Ukraine, despite massing tens of thousands of troops along the border. Putin, speaking at the Kremlin alongside German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, said he is ready to go down the negotiations track and engage over issues such as arms control, transparency around military drills, and other measures. This is conflicting because we have now evidence that they just turned down other actual meetings. So we're going to show you that here in just a second. Before I continue, I do want to remind you, if you have not already, make sure to go over and check out Energy. If you want to get one of the quietest, most sought-after portable generator, you can go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. Again, this is a modular system that you can plug and play. Again, you can add as many batteries as you like. You can totally mod the system to do, of course, what you need it for. They take very little maintenance. They don't take gas. Again, this is a solar generator, so not only can it be powered, you can charge it up with your regular house plug-in, but you can also charge it with solar panels. What is really cool is you don't have to use their proprietary solar panels. You can get their recommended solar panels from them, or you can end up getting your own or using ones that you already have. As long as you have the adapter for it, you can plug in and, of course, charge your solar generator. These are silent, so if SHTF happens, which eventually most of us believe it will, you will not alert the neighbors that you have one. Again, that's one of the biggest things with gas-powered generators that's a downside. One, you have to keep finding gas, and if SHTF happens, unless you have 10 barrels out back, that's how long it will last. This, as long as you have sun, you have power. Again, with gas-powered, it is extremely loud, and that means, especially after no one has power, you're going to be a main target for theft. So again, this is marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle, MARFOOGLE. This one, it helps us out when you end up purchasing through us. This is, again, one of the most sought-after solar generators out there. All right, and then just to go back into it, it says that President B says U.S. has not verified Russian troop pullback. Dex, it looks like you have everybody lined up. Do you want to pop in here as far as what is going on here?
Hey, Adam. Yeah. So Biden came out today and spoke and said that, in addition to all the media coverage saying nobody has verified the troop pullback has actually happened, he also, from the administration's point of view, confirmed that in his statement, saying it has not been verified.
And on top of that, in his speech, he actually quoted 150,000 troops on the border, which publicly that was not available. They always said 100. Then last week, someone blurted out 130. Now he said 150. Reporters also doubled down on that and asked Jen Psaki and said, did he just confirm? We've never heard that number before. This reporter asked Jen Psaki at her press conference, did he just confirm that it's actually escalated since last week? And she said, with so many words, yes, that they've been loading up the border for days. So do we believe the U.S. government? I take it with a grain of salt. But mainly, before we said this, other countries have been saying this. Intel from multiple NATO countries, but also countries that aren't even in NATO are saying that this looks really bad, and they're preparing their forces just in case this spills over. So are they all drinking the Kool-Aid, or is someone lying? It's very easy to change the narrative online because people don't know what to believe, and people are very torn about this. They just naturally don't want to believe anything mainstream, but there is some truth. Like Wages World said, truth is truth. So I'm going off of what I've actually heard from Ukrainians, what I've heard from Russians, what I've heard from military, and I think that even if this is all made up, something's going on. They won't let media embed with the troops, so something is happening that's weird with this. If it's not this, we're going to have, of course, some sort of cyber event and blame it on them, or they're going to blame something on us or something. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody that's been installed into the highest office in the land, and maybe they're destroying us from the inside out. I don't know. But I do know we are looking at massive things. CV, this last 2 years, it seems to me like trillions of dollars was just robbed. If you don't think so, where did it go? Why? So we are already screwed. So they put trillions of dollars into all of this stuff for what? How much did the people actually get? Why did they have to put all that money into somewhere? Oh, to keep the stuff going? What does it all go to? Why did they have to change laws like IRS laws and all this other stuff? Why did they have to throw in that they needed to have a report on UFOs into the thing that was related to a natural demic? None of this makes sense. It's all a political circus. But again, we're going to be the victims, people. That's why we prepare. They said they have not verified it. And then cyber attacks hit the Ukrainian government sites and major banks. Not only that, they say the military was affected. This was today. A series of cyber attacks on Tuesday knocked the websites of the Ukrainian government offices and major banks offline. Ukrainian authorities said attacks came amid strong tensions between Russia and the West. And it was too early to know, however, if the apparently low-level denial of service attacks might be a smokescreen for more serious and damaging cyber mischief. So I wonder, Dex, have you thought about this? What if they were backing up because they saw, what if we just used our CIA to hack Ukraine? What if this is the Fantastic Freddy? And remember how the president made sure that every American that listened today knew that we will respond just as if it's, them invading our country. If they hit us with a cyber attack or hit any of our NATO countries with a cyber attack, that we will then go in and start a full-scale war. And now Ukraine, who might be, they're talking as if they're part of NATO already, or they're going to be, because they still have not said that they won't accept them. Now they just got hit with cyber attacks, and Russia's like, whoa, we actually didn't want war. We're backing up. We're moving everything off the border. You guys stop. We'll do what you say. Because it looks like maybe did we just set up that Fantastic Freddy today? Is that what we're looking at? The double Fantastic Freddy. Because we set it up weeks ago that there would be some sort of Fantastic Freddy. Dex?
Well, they've been infiltrating for over a month now, probably longer, Ukraine, they being Russia. It's been reported for the last month or so. I think what we probably are seeing is that they have done a lot of things to get prepared for the time when it comes for them to actually do an invasion, should they do it, right? So that they can, rip the cord, so to speak, on all of the technology and the infrastructure that they've probably already infiltrated and probably have things just sitting there waiting to go, or have done practice runs to make sure they can still get into whatever back doors they've either planted or multiples that they've created. I know our administration made that statement today. I think it was pretty clear about it being U.S. Infrastructure being hit, that he would absolutely go back after Russia if they hit our infrastructure. It'll be interesting to see how that, how it plays out in the sense of, if these events happen, if these cyber attacks continue, how quickly they can identify who actually did it. And with some level of confidence, and then be able to, decide how we're going to respond.
Well, I mean, once you think in this mindset, watch the 11-minute video of President B. It's going to be hard for some of you, but watch it. I promise you, you'll start seeing, like, why is he saying it like that? Why did they even add that into the speech? Because it's a speech. It's not, he didn't do question and answer. He said what he said, read the teleprompter, said his message, got it out there, and then bounced out. He just left. He didn't answer a single question. And you guys, most of you, we don't have to go into the because it's going to start people off like, oh, of course he didn't. Yeah, but guess what? He just turned around and left. And he's been doing this a lot. Both sides of the aisle are starting to wonder if he's all there. Now it's not even that bad if you talk about him. At one point during, of course, the section where they were fighting each other to take the office, or, steal or whatever, at that point, you couldn't even say his name. And that's why we still don't, I'm just not going to bother with it, because everybody knows who we're talking about with the president, JB, right? But now, both sides are going after him, saying this guy is not even mentally there. CNN and Fox are both saying it. And MSNBC even, they brought on specialists saying, like, this guy is just not there. Today, he just slurred his words, and people go, well, he's older. It doesn't, it's just a word mistake. If you've seen Joe, 50 years of service, he's always spoken clearly, articulately, but you guys get what I'm saying. I'm not a high-level politician, and if I started getting to the point where I couldn't do this, people would start going, maybe it's time to retire. If I do this show and I just get to the point where maybe it's time to stop doing a show where either you're reading or you're talking. Especially, and it's not just, maybe you can do the job on paper, maybe you can do all of the desk work and stuff, but other countries see that and they start thinking this country is weak. There's a lot to the physical presence of a president, especially the president of the most powerful country in the world. Now, if you're outside the country, you're like, you're not the most powerful. Pretty much accepted. Everybody's going off the U.S. dollar, petrodollar, this debt-made currency that we have. But guess what? We borrowed so much money. We printed money out of everything. It's all going to end. We have the highest inflation. We have crimes going into all neighborhoods. This is slow motion end times. And if anybody says otherwise, then we can have a debate on that, because honestly, it's going one way and one way only, and it does not look like it's getting better. And we can say it's better, and we can try. I still think that it's worth having hope and praying. But things aren't getting better, people. And then Russia notifies, and here's conflicting reports, right? Russia says, we're still open to talk. But they notify the OSCE it will not take part in Ukraine requested consultations with diplomats. Maybe they don't want, who knows? Maybe they are the ones here maybe they set up those troops for a defensive. Why are they blocking the waterways? Are they trying to stop us from coming in? Almost starting to think so, man. I mean, this is just weird stuff. It's like we're setting the stage. It's so clear. I'm sorry. It just so clearly looks suspicious. How we keep saying things like, but if they get us with cyber, remember last night's show where we talked about it? He quoted it. He has left all these little crumbs like, the only way we will get into a war in the future is the consequences of a cyber attack. And that cyber attack will be the reason why we go to a hot war. Dex, do you remember that? He just straight up says it, like the only way we will go to war is if we get attacked by a cyber attack. And that cyber attack will have great consequences.
Right. Consequences with great consequences.
Yeah. Yeah, he said it twice. So nice he said it twice. So it's like they're putting that in the back of our head. Just like they said on the January, that day, it's all up to bad news. There's going to be an attack. What do you guys think? Red Pill says, agree, there's way too much activity for, quote, drills. Thank you so much, Adam, Dex Mods, and great platform to catch up on current events. Much love to the Fugel fam. Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. The world is reporting this. It's not just ours. And I know that there's a small handful of people that are reporting that own the whole world of media. But this is way too many countries. I think we're putting a slant on things. Maybe we are setting up something. Maybe we are the people behind it. And by we, I mean the U.S. So what do you think? Let's go over to the chat. Let's say hi to everybody. And if you're watching the replay, I will turn on the chat so you can see what I see. So we can see kind of who's up in here and what is going on right now. And if you are here, make sure to pop in and say something. False T-Man won't be used to start a conflict. I think our country is being taken down from within, says Laura. By the way, hi to Dave and Laura. Love you guys. It was nice seeing you today. I really had a fun time. Thank you for coffee. I really appreciate that. Scrappylicious, Alan Hodge, 66 plus 6 equals 72. Somebody said 216, 2022 somehow equaled 666. What was it?
6 times 6 times 6 is 216.
And 216 is 2 times 2. February, I don't know. Anyways.
216's tomorrow.
Yeah. That's right. And then, I know, and Wednesday is tomorrow. It's just weird. Susan Adams says we can't say, let's go, Brandon. You just said it. Yeah, you can say that. Hope it's a show. Love to fam. But I would say, there's both sides in here. Try not to go overboard and let's try to be adults. Sparky's Run, Pure Blood. Again, it's probably better just to say LGB. Jersey in the building, Fugel fam. Clowns in America doing what they do best, starting wars. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we've done in the past. Started popping up all over my feed 2 days ago. He's innocently or precious charges. Something's telling me he's coming back quick. Lindsay O'Neill. President B keeps saying the phrase lockstep. Huh. I didn't notice the lockstep part. I know he said diplomacy about 40 times. Truck Fudo. That's a good one. Again, Russia has officially notified the OSCE it will not take part in the Ukraine-requested consultations on the situation on the Ukrainian border. So basically they're saying, we're not even going to talk about it. Maybe that's because they're saying, like, hey, we're not going to do anything. Maybe Russia feels like they're trying to get set up. Like they come to the table. Either way, all of the talks have gone downhill. All of them. China is actually backing up Russia, saying, why don't you just give in to their security concerns, don't let Ukraine be part of NATO, and we will not have that. We are going to put NATO in Ukraine, or that's what it looks like. And if we do, Russia says that's war. But who knows? Maybe Russia's actually afraid of us. Maybe Russia is trying to stay out of a war because we would kick their butt. Maybe Russia feels like we're trying to take them over. Who knows? With everything that is going on, I hope a lot of you are going over to EMP Shield and going and researching and seeing what this is, because this is a device that can actually protect you, protect your devices, protect your car. You can get one for your generator, get one for your RV, get one for your house, your home, your motorcycles, your boats, whatever you want to protect and keep running after an EMP of any phase, E1, E2, and E3. It protects against all three. Or a solar flare like what Wages World was talking about. You can go over to marfugelnews.com/EMP. Now, these do zero good if they are purchased after an EMP or a solar flare. So, again, it's as urgent as you make it. It does help the channel. They give us a commission for sending you their way. And then, of course, you get a discount of $50 off per device, and that tax on top of any sale they're doing. So whenever they do sales, our $50 off is on top of that when you use our link. That was grandfathered in. We were there before they had contracts with agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. This is legit Keystone, military tested, and now can't say exactly what we know, but again, those agencies have used this, and it is a very incredible device. And again, you can actually get the previously mentioned solar generator. We found them through EMP Shield because they are now partnering to make an EMP Shield protected energy solar generator. Can't get much better than that. If you do get one of those, try to get it through us. Again, that's kind of a no-brainer because then that would help us out. Very small number of you can, end up getting all of these or any of these. So thank you for the ones that can go over and do this. If it's something you're already going to buy, consider it. If it's not right for you, it's not right for you. We also want to provide you with ways to do other ways to do this if you can afford to get something like this, solar generator or, of course, EMP Shield or, of course, marfooglenews.com/prep to get prep food. If you can't afford to do that, we want to point you in the right direction. For example, Alaska Prepper does payday preps. He is a very good man. In fact, on and off camera, he's just genuinely a good person. He will teach you how to take very little money and try to survive off of that and try to get yourself some low-cost survival food. He's been doing just an amazing job. He's just been kicking butt recently. Survival Living has done a really great job. He's done videos on actually putting these EMP shields in. Survival Living is also teaching classes now, which is awesome. Bones is working on stuff as well, our mod. He is just really kicking butt as well. Jaystone, one of our mods, is now making videos again. Very proud of her. Again, lots of really great creators and a lot of great teachers in this Foogle fam. So make sure to go check them all out. All right, Dex, it looks like he just gained more freedom fighters. Truckers react to Trudeau invoking the Emergencies Act. This helped or hurt?
Well, I'm sure it's probably fueling a lot of people that were, as they say, sitting on the couch to maybe want to get off the couch.
So we'll talk about this in just a minute. Let's get Colt. We have a first-time caller in, and he wants to talk about some concerns about deployments and recent local military activity.
And we got about 25 left on the show, and I'm getting Colt on now.
Okay.
It looks like Colt dropped, so let's go to the next caller, which is CFP.
Okay, we've got Survival Living. Survival Living, thank you for popping in tonight. I'm going to pull up. That's awesome.
Oh, sounds great, Adam. How's it going, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Survival Living, you are live on Marfoogle News.
All right, roger that. So I just wanted to talk about some preparation stuff. I read a lot, especially with what's going on with the news today. I won't go into that great of detail. But one of the things I see online, my comment section and other people's comment section, during the last 2 years, a lot of people ran out and purchased things. And now I'm seeing the comments, well, I've got 20 cases of ramens and I don't like ramens. Now they're going bad. I want to say this, don't buy things you don't eat. When we talk about payday preps, weekly prep, and that's stuff that we normally eat, canned goods, dry goods, put those things back a little bit at a time, it builds up. But I see that a lot where people are purchasing things in a panic buy scenario. I'm all about putting food back, water filtration, getting stuff prepared that we don't have to worry about stuff when it happens. But I am seeing that a lot out of a lot of people over the last 2 years. They're getting buyer's regret. So I always tell people, go your canned goods, dry goods first. It's cheap, easy way to do it, but you need to make sure it's in your normal rotational stock, stuff that you normally eat. And now the long-term food storage, if you don't have the time to deal with all the prepping and the rotations and stuff like that, that's a 25-year shelf life stuff. You just put it in the closet somewhere and basically you forget it. So, there's many options on there. And with the current stuff going on, I'm really concerned of a Bass Freddy. I am. You've covered this so many times, and you especially with the cyber stuff with solar winds and everything. I'm really concerned that the push is coming from our side. And really, to me, it doesn't matter who's responsible for it. I just believe something is fixing to happen. Everywhere from the media not allowed to be embedded with the troops. That's new to me, as far as I've never seen that done unless it's a special operation. But this is on a world theater. But we can't put anybody with this. So you have nobody there to see what actually happens and what we're getting reported. So I do tell people, get out there, make sure you start prepping. There are food shortages. I was at the store earlier today with my brother, and I wrapped this up quick. There's those holes. We went out to go film some stuff with a substation and come across that. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter where you go at. There's still shortages. Propane. We're running into problems with propane here. I actually talked to the manager today at our local Walmart. The 1 pound green propane tanks. They've been out for forever. Those are one of the things we stock. We stock all kind of different things, adapters and all that stuff. And I actually asked the manager, what's up with the propane, the 1 pound green Coleman propane tanks. They said it's a supply issue. It's nothing about shipping. It's a supplier issue. So we're going to be seeing more and more of this. And this is why I tell people, besides stocking up food, get your body in shape, get out there and actually do the things that you're going to be required to do in a survival situation. We all want to sit at home, look at our canned goods, which is awesome. But if you got to do something, you got to be ready to do it.
I love that you're taking this seriously to the point you're getting certifications in several things. I said the other day you probably were doing your own videos and can't watch me, but I said,
"Oh no, I can watch you." I hit the chat and I even told Dex, you are more than welcome to come down here. I know that you're way on the other side of the country though, and I'm very proud that you're actually taking the next step up on your survival and preparedness, because when you said that you're taking a course, I encourage everybody to do that. We're very fortunate. Yeah, I went and got the certifications to give myself the credentials behind it. But yeah, we're doing our basic survival training course. We started a business with that, got licensed and insured. But we're doing a lot of private courses too, people that don't want to be on film when they're doing stuff like this. So we're doing that as well. If I can teach somebody how to make it 3 days with nothing, to me, we just accomplished something major.
Well, because a lot of us don't realize, until you're faced with it, what you don't have. And even just, I've said it before, like when we lost power for 2.5 days, you realize like you don't have this or you don't have that, or you forgot that you used, most of your candles on a 1 day power outage. It's like, you don't realize how much you need either. Like, you don't realize that if your power's out for a week and you don't have, this is before I had a generator. This is before my gas generator and my solar generator. It was like I didn't have enough candles, and because the last time before that our power went out, we used all of it. So it's very eye opening. And then you realize, like, what if I couldn't even stay in my house? What if we had to bug out right now and go somewhere else? Would I have everything I needed? Can I take all of the canned goods I have, all very heavy? There's so many things that I was thinking about over the last week, because we're talking to military, and military are saying this is the closest we've ever been, hands down. And of course, when it does get this close, that it equally means that it very well could get to the very last point, and then I hope that it comes back down. But one of these times it's not. And that's why we talk about it. That's why we make people aware. If this would have went 10 times worse than this already, and we were already grid down scenario, many of you would have been at least not caught off guard by it. And trust, I believe this will happen. I believe we will have a grid down at some point. It is an old system with new technology, and every country that hates us has worked on a solution to knock our power grid out. And everyone is assuming that we're so scary that none of these superpowers are going to do it. They knocked down all of Venezuela. They knocked down 10 million plus in Mexico. They knocked down Cuba. They knocked down all sorts of things. They're going to knock down us at some point. We're already knocked down several pegs. We're in hyperinflation. It's just insane.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a great point on Venezuela and stuff. I still believe those were drills being ran to see what they can operate and what they can do with certain equipment. The fact is that our grid alone is very fragile, like you talked about. Now, you've also talked about how EMP Shield has been working with certain grid departments and stuff like that, trying to get these guys up to speed and protected. But, with a cyber hack, they can just shut things down, ransomware, hold everything. And even though EMP Shield has been working with these companies, it's still not being used enough as far as taking care of the entire system. EMP Shield is a great product to use. I mean, that's why we're using it too. We like the product. It gives us that extra bit of security, but we can't just rely on just that little bit of security. We still have to keep on trying to do more and more preps. So yeah, I encourage people to do what we call brownout drills. Go over there, shut off your power, on the weekend. If you're not having to work during the weekend, work with your household, shut everything down. Now, what are you going to do? Okay. During those 3 days, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and see exactly how much stuff you use, how hard it is to actually get water. Now, water's not being pumped because you can't turn on the faucet, and then go from there. And then you start seeing all these holes that, oh man, I really need to have this in place. And it's not being fearful, it's being prepared. That's why we prep. So no matter what happens, we already have a plan. We got it ready to execute, and we get it done.
Absolutely. Survival living. I want to get. Well, actually, let me just check on something. Dex, are we getting Colt back on? Do we have Colt on?
No, he had to drop. He had to run, and we don't have another caller lined up, which is good because we're out on the last 15 or so minutes.
Okay, so we have 15 minutes. I'm not gonna rush you survival living, but I will say, we're low on time. But survival. So
no problem.
I'm glad that I got to talk to you and Wages today. Does it look to you like something is about to go down?
Yes, it does. There's too many players out on the field. Let's put it that way. For everybody to be pushing this, my main concern and what my thought process is, and actually you've already covered this many times before, we got populations up in aggressive stance against their own governments all across the globe over this stuff happened the last 2 years. The biggest distraction or unification of these countries is to start a global rumble. That's how, just like what happened years ago with towers. Let's put it that way. Everybody unified. We had a common goal enemy. And I think we're going to see this, and they're going to use this just to pull things in place. We'll see more and more laws come into place. We have to shut down a lot of stuff because of the imminent threats that are facing countries now because of this massive rumble going on with certain countries. And that's what I'm expecting.
Well, thank you again for calling in tonight. Is there one more thing you want to say before you go?
I appreciate everything you and Dex do. You got a great set of mods. Google fam, much love to every single one of y'all, and just keep on prepping.
All right, well, thank you again. If you guys haven't checked out Survival Living, great guy, and he's, again, just an incredible individual. I am wishing you luck in everything you do. All right, thank you. Easily could get him to 40,000 in one night. By the way, I'm going to just quickly recheck here Wages. See if we can help. See if we help Wages World out here. Look at that. Already got him up to 49,000. Thank you, guys. I hope by tomorrow he hits that 50K. And I hope you hit at least 35 over there, Survival. And then Mystery School says 369 Foogle fam is divine. Positive vibes to all. Love 369 magic in those numbers, y'all. And then I get so many people saying, I'm not worried about it. If it's going to happen, it will. But I just want them to make sure that they're saved and prepared. Cameron Combs, thank you for that comment. And I agree with you. Rostu Foundation of the Sun 13s, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Gabriel Felix, thank you as well. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Alta, Tammy, thank you so much. K-Rec, again, thank you. And then, of course, everyone over on D-Live that popped in. Spoonie Le Pew, I think that's what it is. Oh, like Pepe Le Pew, but Spoonie. Free 2004, Cripey, Normie. Another thing that kind of popped up that a lot of people don't think about is if, say, Russia's not even an issue and they stage a grid down on ourselves. They already just told us that they think a domestic threat has credible and specific threats against our own grid. And now they're saying all this cyber... it's like 4 different ways we could have our grid go down. It's incredible. J-Star Oregon, thank you for the Ninja Guinea. Really appreciate that, J-Star Oregon. It's nice to see you again tonight. Spoonie Le Pew, thank you again for the Ninja Guinea. And then finally, been watching for over a year. Happy to finally understand how to sub, etc. Love this show. That's awesome. And then Arizona Ice Queen, did you ever check out Maverick Star Reloaded regarding 40% pole shift by 2023? I did, actually, and I want to say Wages World talked about, like, do we think that it's actually going faster? Is the pole shift going faster? Dex, do you want to cover some of the crazier stuff there?
Well, yeah. So if you head over to marfooglenews.com and you click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to that web-only content, or if you're on YouTube, just open the description. It's the first link right there. It says show notes. You can get to the rest of the story. Everything else we can't cover, or it's too hot for TV, so to call it. Lots going on. One thing, though, there's a little map there, and I thought this was interesting. It was put out from Jack, but it's been around before. It's kind of an old map, but it's interesting to look at that. Those two are actually 3 countries. I think it's Belgium and the Netherlands and Luxembourg. Those 3 countries represent the same amount of GDP that Russia has. So in other words, if you look at how much GDP Russia has and just try to map it onto the European map, not even the world map, it's just those 3 little countries. So put that in perspective, or think about that sometimes when you think about, yes, they do have one of the largest and most money invested in military, probably per capita or per GDP, but the amount of production that they actually make is really small. So I thought that was rather interesting. I've never really looked at that before. Plenty of other things going on, a lot of political stuff, more things about that topic we brought up last show with Durham. There'll be more details. Mostly will be in this section because we probably won't be able to cover that stuff on the air as it continues to evolve. But you'll definitely see that, as well as more things going on in Canada. Definitely go check it out. marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to web-only content, or open that description on YouTube and click the first link.
Now remember, when we can reach so many people and continue to grow, and then we can end up bringing people to all of this information. We're archiving and databasing everything that's happening every single day. It's an amazing tool. Make sure to use it. Thank you, everybody that actually appreciates what we're doing here. And just to explain to the new folks that are here, we have thousands of new folks. Just realize that we are open to have our minds changed. We are open to see it a different way, and I think that you should be too. Everyone should be at this point, because obviously people are just butting heads. Everyone thinks they're right, and once you realize that maybe you think you're right because we've been trained to all think we're right in our echo chambers forced by social media, that maybe we should start admitting we're wrong sometimes. I admit when I'm wrong. I admit when I think I'm wrong or I may be wrong. I am so confused right now. I'll be honest. I feel like there is something big. If it's not war, it's a Fantastic Freddy, or it's something that will affect our daily life. And I hope I am wrong. But it's happened time and time again. Right before it happens, I say this, and then it happens. Dex, thank you for your service tonight. Make sure to join us over on Marfoogle Jams. Dex, you're going to be there, right? You're going to hang out the entire time.
Yeah, we get the jams link rolling just as soon as the shotro starts, and I'll post it up for everybody. So if you don't know what we're talking about, watch the chat. There'll be a link, and that's how you can find the shotro.
It's in our third channel that we do our little shoutro music again, and say thank you to everybody that's here. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Let's get a fresh one tonight. Everybody knows a free fall when we see a free fall, and don't worry, we see y'all. Everybody knows a free fall when we see a free fall, and don't worry, we see y'all. Everybody knows a free fall when we see a free fall, and don't worry, we see y'all. Everybody knows a free fall when we see a free fall, and don't worry, we see y'all. Got a super on the set on the challenge, I bring it down in your Harleys. Everybody wanna do the ball, damn now. Got the palmness and then the southern grits and the IP. Lord and Jew in the building behind me. Bogman and the Tories are behind me. See neon and a guy like Lightspeed. Hey, I wait to Jeremy James. Bring it right down and bring it to fame. Everybody really wanna miss Javane.
Gonna fight back. I'm all the wrongs. I'm gonna right that. I'm gonna stand up. Tear you up and make you so bitter. I'm a problem child, I'm the kid, you John Ritter. If you wanna meet a set of real killers, I'll introduce you to locals, Bill and Melinda. They wanna kill ya, depopulate before dinner. Vaccinate you sinners, it'll be a cold winter. Now the government is gonna be your babysitter. Tear you up and make you so bitter. I'm a problem child, I'm the kid, you John Ritter. If you wanna meet a set of real killers, I'll introduce you to locals, Bill and Melinda. They wanna kill ya, depopulate before dinner. Vaccinate you sinners, it'll be a cold winter. Now the government is gonna be your babysitter. Tear you up and make you so bitter.
Nice view to on the things now. This shit's leaning in a mirror, feeling now. Pogo on the logo and I am a meme now. Everybody wanna be a meme now. Now you heard them songs and I know we on the mind of my soul. I know I'm big now, Rusty on the Rambo.
Ganga, that's it. 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 I'm gonna fight back.